Good morning, everybody. We had some technical difficulties going on this morning, and yesterday I was a little under the weather again. But I'm back, and I want to kind of go over some of our markets here. Um, on Tuesday, we had some. Okay, cool. So he'll be alerting everybody there. So I want to kind of take a look at what we've got going on here. Looking at our markets, we did have some news come out just a little bit ago. It was employment data, kind of the normal run-of-the-mill news that comes out. Let's take a peek at what we have going on. Take a peek at gold. Taking a bit of a dive here. Now, we're using the Ichimoku system, okay? And we're looking at the 8-hour cloud, the 4-hour cloud, and the 1-hour cloud. Currently, we're below the 1-hour cloud, the 4, and the 8. So do we take a trade? Not yet. We only want to go short when the lagging span crosses below the 1 hour, okay? We could experience some type of bounce because we are in some oversold conditions. And our composite index, this is on the 1 hour. If I bring it over to the 4 hour, we're still kind of sloping down there. And then the 8 hour is sloping down as well. Now, okay, just kind of taking a peek here, that once this crosses down below and we close below it, we should be looking to take a short. So the kind of the price area we're looking at is the okay, we want to be below the 1 hour cloud there. All right. Taking a peek at the euro. Euro, now we're into some kind of weakness here. We're into this consolidative zone. So we're still above the cloud on the 1 hour, but we're inside the 4 and the 8. So this is and the 1 hour cloud's inside the 4 and the 8 as well. So this is very much of a consolidative zone, and we can kind of look at that and notice that just by looking at this price action here. Okay. So on the euro, we're really not looking to take a trade here at all. Okay, we want to wait for some type of confirmation above or below the cloud. Okay? But we'll come back to that. There may be a trade there. And then I want to look at these using my own style of Gann analysis. The dollar yen. So we have been forming a pretty strong base here. We yesterday we traded all the way up. Was that yesterday or the day before? Day before. We traded all the way up overnight before the news to 107.30, and then we just really sold off pretty heavily, a little over about 110 pips we came down. But we've been finding a lot of basing and support here, and although the clouds are all indicating bearish activity, on the long term, I think that this kind of is something that trumps the range here. Is that this? Let me get this here. Oops. This is a weekly. And so what I'm looking at is right down here. This is the composite index on the weekly chart. We are in a good position and area for going long based on the weekly. Okay. We also have what's looking like a rounded bottom, and that is bullish itself as well. Okay, just keep that in mind as we're going through this. Okay, because I have been saying that UJ is a long. Just, I mean, we'll say enter here. Really anywhere long between 106 and 105 because there is some massive moves. We could probably be at 108, possibly sometime late next week. Okay. Then we have the New Zealand dollar. Now we finally had some capitulation here. We've had like a really strong drive up since, you know, the end of February to now. We've just had a kind of a single rise in price here. And so when I'm looking at where we're at currently, I like the short idea here. I really do. You know, even though we are in this kind of oversold condition, we are really extended on the New Zealand dollar, and we're going to notice this when we take a peek at the Gann component to this. But you know, is this a trade? Yeah, because we are currently below the cloud in price, the 1 hour cloud in price, and we're below the 1 hour cloud in the lagging span, and you know, we are really kind of inside the 4 and the 8, but because we have not really had an opportunity since this kind of trend happened on the 28th of February, this is really a good signal that after, you know, these last 2 weeks that we may have a counter trend forming here. Aussie dollar. Similar situation happening where we may get a nice short opportunity. Expect some type of pullback though up to here, so we may want to wait for a pullback back to like probably the top of the 8 hour cloud here, but let's just keep an eye on that. Pound dollar, obviously no trade. You know, we are sitting above the 4, the 8 hour, we're inside the 1, not really a trade here yet. Euro pound. Euro pound is looking like a good short addition here. If we want to take a look at this activity where we are kind of in between the conversion and the base, found resistance at the 1 hour, but notice the 1 hour though is kind of a thin cloud. So, you know, let's not look at this yet until later on. And the US dollar, Canadian dollar just continues to have big rallies, big moves, and you know, that pullback here was good, so kind of missed the boat on this one for right now, but we'll keep an eye on it. Aussie yen, looking like a good, strong trend here. You know, we're already below the 1 hour, little late on an entry, so we'll have to wait on a pullback. So just keep your eye on that. The dollar Swiss, or the dollar index, we have some nice bullish activity showing up here. Probably catch a big bid on this guy and a good move up. Looking at where we're at, we're above the cloud right now. We're above the 8 hour and the 4 hour and the 1 hour in price, but the lagging span, and actually also look at the lagging span of the 4 hour is above its cloud, and so is the 8 hour. So actually, if we want to be a little, no, we'll follow the rules. We're going to wait until the lagging span is above the cloud to confirm an entry, which probably will be 94.84. Okay. Aussie, Canadian dollar. Not really looking at a trade there. No. Euro yen is looking a little peaked, but we'll see. We'll see. Okay. Take a look at cryptocurrencies real quick. Bitcoin forming kind of an inverse head and shoulders here. We had a bit of a fallout. We notice we've tested below the trend line again, the long-term downtrend line. We tested below it again, but we found support, but we haven't found a crap ton of support here, so we'll have to watch out for that. Litecoin also catching a bid, bounced off of its long-term downtrend line. Ethereum, its long-term downtrend line is actually, let me take a peek here, which probably have to redraw this now because that's actually there. So Ethereum is actually below its long-term downtrend line. Well below. It's definitely a weak pair right now. So, all right, now let's go back to our, and let's see, take a peek at the dollar index. That's showing some health here too. Now let's look at the gold trade real quick. I want to look at it from my style, and we'll bring the clouds over here too. Okay, New Zealand dollar or gold. As I try to figure out where I have all these things drawn, I really need to spend some time and consolidate it. So gold, you know, we're still banging around this entire 1337 to 1316 zone, and we're approaching that 1316 area, which is probably going to get hit as support. On the hourly, we're not in a really good shorting area. On the 4 hour, why does it adjust like that? That is really irritating. Well, on the 4 hour, now I don't know which one of these is accurate. I think I know. Well, I know it's accurate on the daily because that's what I put this square on. So give me a second here. Okay, there we go. On the daily, we are looking more biased for a short, and we have what looks like a sort of bearish, or I mean a bullish pennant, bullish flag set up, except that we're looking pretty heavy on the downside here. We're in neutral conditions on the RSI, and you know we're sitting right on this area. We may get a bounce, but if we break below this angle and below 1316, we would have a huge fallout because there's, you know, remember the rule of angles is that there's not much there. The rule of angles is once it breaks an angle, it wants to test the next one. So that is all the way down here. If we again take a look at the 1 hour cloud and what that looks like, you know, we are looking like on the hourly in relation to where we're at on this chart, this entire zone, you know, we are only $3.03 away from this area being tested. So there should be support here. Looks like, you know, that did kind of get bought up a little bit right there as it tested it. So we'll have to see if there's enough oomph to push this higher. But, you know, according to the 8-4 and 1 hour cloud, we're approaching a great short condition here. Okay. The euro dollar. So had a nice short because we had a kind of a double fib level here that got hit as resistance, and we had massive divergence going on here, and then a sell-off. And where are we sitting at? Well, we're sitting on this 45, and that's where we've found some short-term support. So where would and could it reverse to? It could get lower, but as we get lower, we find more supportive buying. And so the real capitulation zone we're looking at is down here. So if I'm looking at this on the 1 hour, take a peek at the 4 hour. 4 hour, we still look, we're looking a little extended. Could be entering extended on the 4 hour. But neutral there. And let's take a peek at the daily. Certainly, yes, on the daily, we are showing some bias to the downside still. Yep. How does that relate to the cloud? Again, guess that's indicative of that kind of indecisive area, but really looking to take a short once the lagging span is below the cloud. So that might be in the 123.10 area. Dollar yen. Let's take a peek at you. Dollar yen, I'm really bullish on, just really based on the weekly and that we're forming a rounded bottom, kind of an inverse head and shoulders going on here. You know, it's just a really great buy opportunity. The lower prices we get here. So just keep your eye on this guy. That there's definitely a strong bias for a move to the top side. All right. I know the cloud here says we're pretty bearish, but I mean, if really, I should be telling y'all that you should wait until we're above here. But the expectancy for increased prices over the next couple of weeks, I feel really bad not telling you to take. Well, I'm telling myself that I'd feel like an idiot if I didn't mention I'm going long here like crazy, because I am. In the MAM account, I have like I think 2 full lots of exposure into this position, with entries between 106.9 and all the way down here. So, you know, I have a lot of entries in here, and I'm really looking forward to the drive up, because the risk is not that much. You know, the risk versus reward is huge. You know, let me just bring this over to here. Go on the daily. All right, and point that out. So if we went long like at 106.50, okay, my risk, my reward, I'm looking at all the way up here, okay, and my risk, oops, oh my gosh, what did that do? My risk is really all the way right here, actually. No, what am I looking at? Yeah, right there. 104.78. This is where I'm going to look to take some profit off, but then my real long-term area is a retest above here. Okay? That's where I'm really looking for things to get to. On the cloud, you know, that doesn't, you know, let's forget what I said about the cloud and that UJ trade. New Zealand dollar. Oh man, this has been a, I actually put up an idea about this guy just on TradingView last night. Right as I took the short positions, and then right as it started to fall, that's when I published the idea. Actually, I have the short positions active already, but so here's New Zealand dollar short based on Gann and Gartley. So here's where this was at 3 o'clock yesterday, 3 o'clock p.m. Central Time. Yesterday is when I published the idea, put this bearish shark in here that indicates imminent rejection prices, and then, you know, really that there's a divergence with within the CMI, rejection at the pivot, this is a pivot of square in time here. That's huge. This thin gray line is the 45-degree line and a Gann square of 144. So what that means is that we are way extended. We're moving too fast in relation to time, so there is a reversion back down. And there's a new moon phase that starts on the 17th. So remember, moon phases, if something's at or near a swing high, there's a high probability that you'll have decreased prices for a couple weeks. On my style of analysis here, I want to take a look at this. Beautiful, beautiful rejection at this area. And it looks like we're going to be able to get a re-entry on a short here. Massive rejection, very extended, near parabolic move that we've had. Real big bounce off of this zone. Looking at this area, may short on a pullback to here, but it might want to retest the like 73.10 zone again before falling over again. But that's the scenario looking at right now. Still have large bias. Actually want to re-enter some shorts. If this doesn't hold, I'll re-enter shorts. If that doesn't hold, I'll re-enter shorts. Looking at it from the cloud perspective, we're going to want to wait till we get that lagging span below the hourly. So probably looking at a price of like 72.9. All right. And let's look at the Aussie dollar. Remember, take a peek at the cloud on the Aussie dollar. Similar structure to the New Zealand, to the Kiwi. On the Aussie, we've got same kind of setup. So we're going to look for a break of the 1 hour cloud as our entry here. So we're looking at a couple areas. We want to go short at 0.786 if the lagging, pull back to 0.786 only if the lagging span is below the 1 hour cloud. Or we can go. We can take a short at the current value area, but only if the lagging span is below the 1 hour cloud. All right. Pound dollar. Caught a little bit of a bounce there. So yeah, no trade here. Oh, I want to look at the Aussie dollar from this perspective. So the Aussie dollar, we had some short bias going in here because of this zone, and then look at this divergence we've had going on. The longer these divergences extend, the more violent the pullback is going to be. So we got rejected up here, and if you get short, like around these zones, and it keeps going up, but there's a divergence with multiple peaks, hold it. Just hold it. I mean, yeah, it kind of sucks to look at your balance and see it going down, but just hold it. the probabilities are they increase significantly the more divergence is created. And the more big dumps you'll get. So, really, you should never add to losing positions. I break that rule when I see a series of divergences forming on the charts here. If you as that pulls up. Oops, where am I at? We're gonna get to this here in a second, but so the Aussie dollar, you know, structurally right now, this on the hourly, this is looking like a short-term bounce we're gonna get. So we may retest this zone up here, and that matches what we were looking at with the Aussie dollar just looking at it from the cloud perspective. Okay, so keep your eyes on that. The euro pound. Oh man, we totally should have taken a short there. That always makes me feel bad. Well, we could always look for a break of the 8 hour. That's always a possibility. Let's look at that euro pound on this. Ooh, man. Dang, did I miss out on this one? Shoot. Man, the longer I've traded, the less upset I get about a losing trade, but the more upset I get about a missed opportunity, because, you know, even when you're new to trading, you know that there are few opportunities to get into something to catch a massive move, and I certainly missed some pips on this one. Dang it. I'm not going to chase it though. I'm going to wait for it to bounce off this angle, this arc, retest up here, and then fall down. But you know, it's possible that there's a lot of strength here that I'm just going to miss out on. What's this look like on the daily? Yeah, daily kind of missed the move here. So there's this trend line here. Yeah, so there's going to be a bounce, more than likely. Let's keep an eye on this. It's more likely going to be a bounce as we get down to here. And then we may have a short opportunity down there. What's this look like on the weekly? It's probably pretty flat. Yeah, gosh, it's really flat on the weekly. On the cloud, yeah, no trade there. Dang. US dollar, Canadian dollar. Okay, it looks like we're finding a little top heaviness. Composite index is kind of elevated, and we are sitting, you know, in this, we got this kind of reversed cup and handle. Well, actually, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th top on the hourly. Wow. What's this look like on here? Oops, don't do that. Yeah. Well, that's on the daily. Let's look at that hourly. Well, we are really elevated in the composite index on the and the RSI. We showed, now the RSI shows divergence, but the composite index really doesn't. So the bias always goes towards the composite index. However, I've always talked about similar structure, similar elevated areas. Like look over here, you know, when we've got these extended tops in the RSI and the composite index, going short's a good idea, right? Yeah, it is. How about right here? Yeah, it's a good short. You can catch a few pips there. To me, this is a good entry just based on that, but I'm not going to go short. One, because we've had such crazy momentum up here, and because we're above this fib, we're above the arc, and you know, we just have a lot of open space above us. So it's risky to short this right now. Looking at it from the cloud perspective, yeah, I'm not really looking to go short. I'm looking to add or get in on a bounce, but it's going to have to be a bounce back down to the cloud. You know, that's what's going to have to do it. So, you know, there is a trade there. USD CAD. No, sorry, long at pullback to Probably 129.5. Okay. All right. Let's take a peek at our cryptos real quick. And I really want to point out what's happening with cryptocurrencies real fast before I sign out here. We have a big issue happening here soon. If you remember, back in February, I talked about, or back in January, I had talked about a actually January 16th, I was pointing towards the February 5th and 6th area as a bottom before there's a bounce. And where am I at? That was the 16th, 23rd, showing us that on the, well, actually it was here on the 4th, but the 5th, really 4th and 6th, we had a whole bunch of these. The point I'm making is a whole bunch of these time frames coming together. We had 45 days from the all-time high, 49 days. We had a full moon. January 29th is the beginning of a new time cycle. We just had a huge confluence of zones here. And anyways, the Bitcoin cryptocurrency trade is coming up to a huge one too. I posted last night that there's a trend reversal coming around March 21st through the 27th. Okay? And here's the reasons why. We're looking at this on the daily. I can get rid of these actually. March 21st is one of the most important dates in Gann's theories. Okay, that's right here. It is one of the most important dates. It means that markets generally have a spring rally. It's the first day of spring, there's a spring rally. And so we have been in a downtrend since slightly before the beginning of the year. Now, I want to point out here we are. Okay. We also have on this is really less important, but on the 17th, we have a new moon. Now, the new moon isn't really important to Bitcoin right now because Bitcoin's been in a downtrend. So the threat to downside pressure based on the new moon is not as big, but it's still there, and it still is a catalyst in a time cycle. What is the most important is this. And you're not going to really see this anywhere because I'm the only weirdo that likes to use this form of analysis. But this time cycle that we're in, the day count cycle, this dark line is the 90-day mark. 90 days from the all-time high is the 18th of March. And it's just a few days before the 21st, which is right there. Or right there. 90 days. So there's cycles of the inner year.
and we always treat the highs and lows within a a year cycle as zero. So we always start the day after that all time high or low, or that swing high swing low in a year. And so calendar days is what we use. They're the true understanding of the cycle of vibrations that lie within a yearly cycle. And there's many setups on weekly charts, and the weeklies help us determine our intraday trading. When a cycle is nearing completion, volume increases and the market begins to move faster up or down. The pitch or the trend is determined mostly by the 45-degree angle. And the cycles of the geometric divisions of 1 year inside of it should first be assumed to be cycles that will bring about change. Resistance in time to the trend in force. That's the principle there. And these kind of cycles, these daily calendar cycles from these swings, they provide strong probabilities. So the first one is a 45-day cycle, which we had back here. All right? And in the 45-day cycle, it means it can reverse a trend. It ends blow-offs or very fast moves, which it did. And moving from low to high in 45 days can also set up a 45-day move straight up, which is 45 days from the low. But it can also continue for 45 days and create a 90-day. So Gann called the 45-day cycle the death zone. It's 45 to 49 days is the death zone. The most I'm getting to my point here. The most important division of time in a 1 year cycle is the 90-day cycle. It's the most powerful division of the 1 year cycle. High probability of support or resistance is found at this time. 90 days up or down will usually start a counter trend movement or just reverse the trend. 90 days from any of those kind of all-time significant highs or lows, they must be watched for trend changes. And in the case of extreme momentum or pitch, like we had back here, the 90-day trend can actually extend to 99 days. So that's why I'm saying between the 21st and the 28th, we should see some monstrous change in the direction of Bitcoin. I'm calling a reversal around that time period. So, based on just the technicals and using that time cycle analysis, where does price go? Well, really, if I'm going to say, it's just here's the downtrend line. Okay, this red line is the downtrend line from the swing of the beginning of the accumulation phase to the second part of that accumulation phase. That's that trend line. Okay? Very, very, very strong probability that this entire area turns into a massive buy zone. And so we should look to see and enjoy lower prices. I mean, really, anywhere under 10,000 is a great area for Bitcoin to be. Can this move happen before those dates? Absolutely. There is no... rarely do you see these types of reversals happen right on those days. With the exception was probably February 6th. You have to give a little bit of variance to these things because time is, it's not, it's more of an art. There's a lot of art within the science of analyzing time cycles. So, 90 days, very important. And we really want to look at how much price will reverse. It could be significant. We will probably, more than likely,
begin the third monstrously large, expansive wave of Bitcoin, where you go from, 8,000 to above 20,000 during the year. That is definitely not outside the realm of possibilities. It will probably be a choppy as hell road. But there is, and you'll hear people say, well, it's because the banks were, getting in on this. There's going to be news that more banks are getting to be supportive. You're going to hear news that, the governments are not, going to, like regulate this to death. They just want to make sure it's safe. You're going to hear news about some countries fully adopting this type of currency and embracing it. You might even hear something from Trump or the Senate or Congress, embracing a lot of facets of the ideology behind cryptocurrencies. As we get closer here, we're going to hear less bad news and more good news, and that is not the cause of price action. Time is the cause of price action. Everything after those time cycles is just an excuse that we try to make sense of. News. If you study time cycles, you'll know that moves in price can be anticipated before there's even news about anything. It's the same reason a whole slew of those Gann traders in Australia had short positions around September 11th, 2001, but they had them sitting there 2 years to a year ahead of time. It's not because they knew a terrorist attack was going to happen and that it was going to disrupt financial markets. They followed Gann's style of analysis, and they knew that in those time cycles that there was an extremely high probability of a trend reversal. Everything is a slave to time cycles. And it can be a little disconcerting because when you're studying these kind of things in the market, you kind of branch off from looking just at financial instruments, and you're entering a little bit of a kind of a sci-fi-ish spiritual kind of a approach. But we are all very much not in charge of the direction of price action. It has already been predetermined. There is a pattern. It is natural. It is not random. So just be aware of that. Okay? Anyways, let's take a quick little walk through the poppies one more time. Okay, UNCUT catching a massive bid there. Cool. Just take a look at these. Gold. Okay, gold looking like a good short. The euro weaker. The dollar yen is certainly building up for a move. Anticipate some ride to the top. New Zealand dollar showing more weakness here. Aussie dollar. Okay, Aussie dollar is looking like a good short opportunity. Actually, I gotta probably put in a partial position there. Pound dollar. Yeah, we didn't have a trade there. So yeah, those are our trades for the day, and looking forward to tomorrow, our last day of the week, and yeah, it'll be exciting to see what we've got moving forward. I think we're gonna have a lot of great activity. Again, new moon phase coming up, so a lot of these markets or a lot of these charts we're looking at, like gold, not so much gold. The euro at a swing high. The yen is not. New Zealand dollar, Aussie dollar, all at these like large swing high zones. Okay? The pound is at a swing high zone. We probably, you can keep your eyes on the pound because we may get a short opportunity with a break below the cloud in price and in the lagging span. Euro pound. Ooh, man, I'm really upset I missed this one. Jeez. Gosh. Dang it. yeah, we just have a lot of great trades in front of us. Dollar index catching a nice bid. If we trade above the cloud again, that'll be a big deal. If we get the lagging span above the cloud and the dollar index. All right, cool. But yeah, good trades. Got a little wordy with the Gann stuff again, but those are our trades. Those are our opportunities, and we'll see you all tomorrow. Have a good one. Bye-bye.